Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chaos Child. When we last left our hero in Uki's route, we tried to chase her to the train station, and we found that people just started vanishing, things started vanishing, and the world seemed to be basically falling apart the closer we got to the trains. And as we walk back into the plaza outside Shibuya Station, everything looks normal, as you can see. In fact, that's exactly what the text says. We went down the platform and through the turnstile, and everything was back to normal. A little bit strange. It's like we're living in a simulation or a dream world where only the local area exists, and nothing exists outside Shibuya. Dive in. Alright. What's going on? What the heck is going on? And then I heard the sound of the train coming in above me, as if it was mocking me. I ran back up the stairs, feeling the people around me staring at me in bewilderment. But when I got up there, the platform was as empty as before. I had no idea what was going on anymore. The more I thought about it, the more confused I got. I staggered down the staircase, feeling defeated. Why not just walk down the train tracks and see what happens? Once I got back down, the world was normal again. I didn't feel surprised anymore. I just felt empty. Alright, our character isn't the adventurous type. He's the terrified when it comes to anything that could be risky. I put my back to the wall and let myself slide to the ground. Maybe I'd gone crazy. I looked up and saw a commercial for a music artist playing on the big TV above Scramble Crossing. It was playing a song by Phantasm that just got released a few days ago. Suddenly, there was static on the screen. Ah, something Cube, please listen. It's Navi from Legend of Zelda. Clearly. He said, listen. That's all Navi says, right? Hey, and listen? That voice. Takuru, please. Sorika really wants me to do something. We're quit. Takuru, listen. Here. Alright. Listen, we're definitely in a dream, right? We need to awaken from the dream. Sorika and Karuz too? Why was I hearing their voice from the TV? Careful, you're trapped in a delusion of Shibuya. I think we should know this, but our character is a little bit thick-headed. A delusion of Shibuya? Yeah. If you want to escape, you have to. I heard a noise and their voices vanished, only to be replaced by the Phantasm music video once more. Was that a hallucination? No. There was another message, like the ones I'd heard before. Delusion of Shibuya. You have to leave Shibuya. Try leaving by train. The train won't come into the station though, so you might have to walk it. The lights in the intersection changed and the people started to move. Beyond them, standing in a gap between the crowds, I saw a girl. It was Uki Yamazoe holding her D-sword. Suddenly, it felt like a dam burst in my mind. Gigalomaniacs. Uki Yamazoe's power as a gigalomaniac was to real boot other people's thoughts and desires. That's right. This whole thing started when I'd had that nightmare about being stabbed by Uki's D-sword. Then this must be... I started to move. The light was about to turn red, but I ran across the intersection anyway. I forced my way to the other side of the street as car horns blared at me. I finally caught you. When I grabbed her by her tiny shoulders, Uki jerked and looked at me in shock. Takuru. The D-sword she'd been holding had vanished, but that didn't matter anymore. Sorry, you won't be able to fool me anymore. Just tell me the truth about what's going on. I think this is the illusionary, Uki. Pretending to be scared wasn't gonna work either.
ウキ、お前さっきディスオードを持ってたよな。最近僕の周りで起こっているおかしな出来事。あれはお前のせいなのか？
You just had your D sword out, didn't you? Everything that's been happening around me, that's your fault, isn't it? Yuki shook her head frantically to the left and right as if she was trying to wriggle out of my grasp.
ダメだ。本当のことを話すまでは逃がさないからな。
I'm not letting go until you tell me the truth. She looked around for help. I realized that the people around me were staring at me suspiciously. Stares, stares, stares. They formed a circle looking at me with cold, inconsiderate eyes. Hey, you. Two black shadows forced their way through the crowd. You. What are you doing here? This is bad.
どうした？何かやましいことでもあるのか？
What's wrong? Are you doing something you shouldn't be?
違います。彼女は知り合いで。
She and I are friends.
犯罪を犯す奴は大体そう言うんだ。
Every criminal says that.
犯罪？違う、僕は。
Criminal? No. Every criminal also says this.
話は署で聞かせてもらおう。さ、こっち
You
へ
can
来
tell
な
us
さ
at
い。
the station now. Come with me. Wonderful. We're getting arrested. Thanks, Suki. Strong arms grabbed me and held me tight. Use your telekinesis to kill. Oh wait, no, never mind. Doing things is not in his wheelhouse. He did something though. Uki slipped out of my grasp. She slid through the crowd and disappeared from my sight. If I got arrested here, not only would my life be over, I might lose a critical clue.
学生か？
You a student?
これ、壁標の制服ですね。
It's a Hekio uniform, isn't it?
ああ、なるほど。道理で。
Ah, that explains it.
あ、おい!
Hey, wait. I forced my way free and ran into the crowd.
待て!
Does anyone ever actually stop when they hear that? Yeah, wait. No one actually stopped for that, right? If I was gonna stop, I wouldn't have run in the first place. Obviously. I practically body slammed my way through the crowd, running as fast as I could while the people around cursed at me. How much time had I spent running today? It felt like I'd been chasing the phantom of Uki forever. At some point, my legs started to move on their own. I couldn't see the police anymore, but I was still terrified they might appear at any second. The only place I could go was Alba Dorm. Alright, he's gone back to Alba.
Takuru?
Takuru? Curse's eyes went wide as she saw me run in, out of breath. My lungs were begging me for oxygen. My heart was about to burn out like an engine low on gas.
どうしたの？そんなに慌てて何かあったの？
What's wrong? Why are you in such a hurry? What happened?
なのか。
True. Ah, that's clearly intelligible. True, yes. I thought I'd be able to speak, but my throat had dried up too much for me to get the words out.
とにかく水でも飲んで
Just have some
落
water.
ち着きなさい。
Calm down. Did we beat Uki here? Usually I'd ask for a mountain view instead, but now wasn't the time. That's right. When you're in that much of a hurry, unfortunately mountain view isn't an option. I took a gulp from water from the glass Carus brought me and finally calmed down.
それで
So,
何があったの？
what happened?
あれは本当なのか？
Is it true?
落ち着いて話しなさい。それじゃあ一体何のことを言ってるのかわか
Alright,
らない
come on,
わ。
buddy. Calm down before you start speaking. I can't understand what you're talking about.
だから最近何度も僕にメッセージを送ってきてるだろ。あれは本当なのか？
You've been sending me all these messages lately, right? Are they true? Oh my god, Takuru, you are so stupid. You are so stupid. This isn't even like a high-level concept that no one could conceivably have thought of. Our character is just like too stupid to not only realize they're in a dream, but like also that the people in the dream aren't real either. Kind of dumb, man. Come on. This isn't a new dreams aren't a new concept. You should understand this.
メッセージ？
Messages?
そうだよ。ここは渋谷じゃないって何度も。
That's right, you keep telling me this isn't Shibuya. I swallowed the rest of my sentence when I saw the look on her face. Yeah, obviously, but I don't think you've realized that yet. She was blinking at me in confusion with her head tilted to one side. It was clear she had no idea what I was talking about. Oh, come on, man. The obvious solution is to walk outside the boundaries imposed by the delusion, since it's giving you boundaries you can escape from. It's one thing if you can't leave via the train station because the track disappears and there's an invisible wall stopping you from moving. It's entirely another if you're not trying to actually escape. Come on, man.
Takuru?
Takuru?
やっぱり
Never mind. Huh? Let's just say hypothetically, this wasn't the real Shibuya. If that was the case, that meant the girl in front of me wasn't the real Karus. I'm glad you came to that conclusion only after you ran all the way here. This meant I was probably wasting my time asking her anything. There was no point.
ウキは
Where's Uki? I decided to do something else.
ウキちゃんがどうかしたの？
Did something happen with Uki?
ウキは部屋にいるのか？
Is she in her room?
いえ、まだ帰ってないけど。でもそうね。もう少ししたら戻るんじゃないかしら。
No, she's not back yet. I think she will be soon. Uki wouldn't know I was here. There was no other place for her to go as far as I knew. All I had to do was wait.
ねえ、どうしたのタクル？何があったの？
That's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea, Taku. Uki's not giving you information, and she's easily able to hold out 2 days. We've already heard that you're gonna die if you don't escape soon. Are you really gonna spend, like... Are you really gonna try and interrogate her and fail repeatedly?
いや、別に。
Use your psychic powers and, attempt to escape or resist this illusion.
別にって、とてもそんな風には思えないわ。ウキちゃんと何かあったの？
Make the simulation collapse by introducing excessive violence? It might be an okay idea. If you think, like, killing people will destabilize the simulation, or, like, you're trying to actively cause people to act in unusual ways. To force the person to think on the fly, like they're trying to keep up with it. That said, this illusion isn't so bad, because you can walk to the edge of it. You might just be able to escape by walking out of it, or beyond their boundaries of their like imposed definition of it. I think that's the safest route. It's the least risky, and there's clearly no physical barrier stopping you. Doesn't look like nothing would happen with Uki. Karus was acting like she was really worried.
大丈夫だって。クルスが心配するようなことは何もない。ただ、ちょっと聞きたいことがあっただけだよ。
It's fine. There's nothing you need to worry about. I just want to ask her something, is all.
本当にそれだけ？
Is that really it?
本当だって。だからここで待たせてもらっていいか。
Can I stay here and wait for her? Why are we waiting for her? She clearly knew nothing. She knew about as much as Karus did.
変なことじゃないわよね。
It's nothing weird, right? Huh?
ウキちゃんに聞きたいことって、あの子もいろいろ苦労してるんだから優しくしてあ
I
げ
don't
なき
know
ゃ
why
ダメ
you'd
よ。
even tell Nono this stuff. Nono is like the biggest control freak and the most like, just let things happen. Oh, Nono's like, just let things happen. Abandon everything you're interested in. Do whatever I say. And of course, what do you want to ask Uki? She's going through a lot. You need to be nice to her. Of course, of course.
分かってるって。
I know that.
だったらいいけど。
I hope so. Chris headed for the kitchen, still looking worried. He was probably getting ready for dinner. For my part, I decided to sit there and wait like I said I would. Come to think of it, Yume Aozaki, what had happened to her? I thought I saw her at Cafe Lax, but then she quickly disappeared. Or maybe she'd just been another hallucination. I took out my phone and looked at the call history. I tapped the screen to call her number. If she answered, there was a lot I wanted to ask her. If she didn't... As I listened to the phone ring, a strange sort of urgency started to swell up within me. There was no sign of her picking up. It rang 20 or 30 times without even going to an answering machine. Damn it. I was getting nowhere, so I decided to end the call and try again. I didn't know what her plan was, but I would make this a battle of wills. I'd keep calling again and again and again until she picked up. I'd call again and again and again. Again and again. How many times had I called her? It was more times than I could count on both hands, I knew that much. But not once had she answered the phone. Maybe the monotonous sound of the ringing was getting to me because I was starting to get sleepy. It had been a stressful day, both physically and mentally. My mind, body, and spirit were worn out, and the exhaustion was building up. My eyelids started to feel heavy. It became harder and harder to stay awake. No, don't fall asleep. But
Takuru?
Takuru. Karus had come back from the kitchen at some point and was standing next to me.
す
Karus.
もうダメよ。そんなところで寝ちゃ。
Oh, thanks,
風邪ひい
Karus.
ちゃうじゃない。
Don't sleep here. You'll catch a cold.
違う僕は
Oh,
はいはい。わかったから、こっちにいらっしゃい。
Alright,
お布団
Grace,
敷いてあ
come
げ
with
るか
me.
ら。
I'll put out a futon for you. No.
ここで寝ちゃうより、少しの時間でも、ちゃんと布団で寝た方が
Wait,
疲
doesn't
れ
he
も
have
取れ
his
るか
own
ら。
room?
Ne?
He has his own room. What? You get more rest sleeping in a futon for a while instead of just leaving it. Just put him in his own. Put him in his bed. Bruce grabbed me by the hand and stood me up.
もう、しょうがないんだから。
You're so silly sometimes. I didn't get the sense from Karus's voice she was giving me an order. Her voice was filled with kindness and compassion. I was too tired and her voice was too soft for me to resist. I let her take me where she wanted me to go. I was so sleepy, I wasn't even sure what I was feeling.
はい。こっちよ。
Okay, this way.
あ
Karus brought me into what looked like a girl's room. What? This is Uki's room. What? Everything was colored pink and made for the taste of a little girl. This is... Alright, this is Uki's room. The chiflera was on the side shelf in its little pot. This was definitely Uki's room, but why here?
お布団、今朝干したばかりだから、ふかふかのはずよ。
I just hung the futon out to dry this morning. It should be nice and comfy. Still, it wasn't right to sleep in a girl's room when she wasn't there. Wait, that wasn't the real question. Then what was the real question? I don't know. I didn't have the mental capacity left to think about it. Or perhaps it was Hypnos, the god of sleep, tempting me. Yep. Well, we've read it now, I think. Yep. Should have officially read it. Well, it didn't matter. I just wanted to sleep. The desire to sleep was controlling my body and mind. As I fell into Uki's bed, I was surrounded by the gentle, mild scent of a young girl. It was a clean, sweet scent, like freshly washed sheets. The scent made me even more tired. My eyelids slowly began to... I assume we fell asleep. A phone call.
電話
My phone was making a noise in my pocket. Who could be calling at this hour? I'm sleepy. Call me some other time. But the phone didn't stop ringing no matter how long I waited.
しつこいな人がせっかく寝ようとしてるっていうのに
Give it up. I'm trying to sleep here. And who the hell are you anyway?
痛い
They just wouldn't stop. And even though my mind was still hazy, it felt like I had no choice but to pick up the phone. Alright, full zombie mode phone answering. This is always fun. First thing in the morning. The name on the display was
大崎
Yume Ozaki? That's right. So she'd seen my call and finally decided to call back? That's right. I had to find out who she is.
電話出
I
な
have to answer the phone. I tried to move my fingers to tap the call icon, but my body felt far heavier than it should. I just need to move my finger a little, but it was like my body belonged to someone else.
早く
I need to answer it quickly. She might hang up. Come on, guys. Come on, answer the phone. It was like my body was paralyzed and it wouldn't move. It was like I was in a dream. A dream? Then who was dreaming? It didn't matter. I needed to pick up the phone. If I didn't hurry, she'd hang up. Hurry, hurry. I put all my strength into my fingertip and finally was able to answer the call. Hello? My voice was so exhausted it was hard to believe they were my own words. Even as I talked, it felt like I was going to be dragged into the forest of sleep. Hello? I was too out of it to even tell whose voice it was on the phone. Ah, it's Sarika. How's it going? Taku, can you hear me talking? Who's calling me? This is Takuru. At this rate, you're never gonna wake up. You need to hurry it. Kurus. Please wake up, Takuru. Why are we so dumb? It's okay. This is just a mystery our character will have to solve. Wasn't it Yume Ozaki on the phone? It's not working. His consciousness is still dropping. At this rate, he's still going to die. Keep calling. More than you're doing now. I couldn't even tell who was saying what anymore. I was falling into the abyss of sleep. Listen, what you're seeing isn't real. The real you is badly hurt and you're in a hospital bed. It's okay. Taku's like the most thick-headed person in existence. If anyone can die via not doing anything, it's gonna be Taku. He won't though, because plot reasons. Please, Taku, remember, you're not gonna be able to come back. Taku! Please come back. I could hear desperate cries from very close and from far away, but it was amazing how little it seemed to matter. The gentle light enveloped me and I fell asleep. Where am I? Huh? I was supposed to be in Uki's room. Was this real or a dream? A dream? Whose dream? Mine? I screamed as something suddenly came into view. Tiny little boxes in the shape of a person. Dark red liquid flowing out of them. An overwhelming metallic scent. Welcome back. Inside the boxes was... Inside was... Tell me, how does it feel to lose someone you care about? How does it feel to have nothing but regrets, to know how powerless you are? That's right. That's right. Of everyone in existence in this entire series, the only person you were actually willing to take a stab for is the guy who just cut your sister into pieces. Taku's boyfriend. She was everything to me and you let her die, but now my revenge can be complete. Itou, yeah. Anyone else he would defend, anyone else he'd just let die, but this guy, he's like, yeah, you carved her up into nice pretty chunks, but I still don't want you in any danger getting arrested or hurt. Now it's your turn, Yashiro. Did you bring the sharp knife and anesthetic? I've been so angry about Yui's death. If not, it's gonna hurt real bad. Just like it did for Yui. Are you gonna cry and beg me not to kill you? Get on your knees and weep. You really? Takuru. I gasped when I heard the voice behind me. That's right, Uki's here. Oh good, I found you. Listen, here he is. And then Uki saw the boxes near my feet and froze. Shocked, she looked at them and then at me as if she was trying to say something, and then she saw Itou.
ゆいちゃんは
You
邪魔するな。
don't interrupt me.
今いいところなんだよ。可愛い妹の死で絶望の淵にいる親父を絶望のままあの世へ
Wait, isn't this slightly different than how it actually went?
外野は黙って見てろ。
I thought he went I don't think this line was in the original one. This is the best part. Miyashiro's miserable from the loss of his dear sister, and now he's going to die. You're not part of this, so shut up and watch. What? Itou turned towards me. Uki looked at the boxes again and finally seemed to understand the meaning of Itou's words, and then... She took a half step back. And screamed. She glared at him in fury.
なんだよ。
What? What? The D sword appeared in her little hand. What the hell? Why is this time she's missing? She can't hit him with a weightless greatsword? What's gotten into her? Uki staggered forward, flailing the sword wildly. Remember, these swords have zero mass. This should be like the easiest thing in the world to hit someone with an invisible sword that has no mass, but she's missed. Itou had no idea how to handle this sudden attacker. Itou still... I got between them. This isn't what happened. He literally instantly dove between and took the first swing. Alright, and then... And I still say Taku 100% deserves this, and if he dies from it, he still deserves it. For being this stupid. Itou is literally the only person he cares enough to take a sword swing. To take a sword to the face for. An impact. Pain. Eat. And for whatever reason, unlike all the other members of his friends club who died fighting each other, Itou's the only one he tried to actually intervene in. Like, he literally just watches Nono get stabbed to death by Sarika and is like, oh, okay, that happened, bye. But here, he's like, I gotta dive in front of you. And this time, the only person he has even, like, a slight interest in actually keeping alive is Uki. It's kind of sad. Then again, I guess he's the kind of guy who's into lollies and guys, so his thing. That's right, she stabbed me with her D-sword. And I don't regret her stabbing him at all. I actually feel sorry for Uki because she wasn't trying to do it. I remembered. That was what happened. Is that reality? And I was inside a delusion right now. Yeah, what's another example of him staying still? Oh right, the delusion where he poisoned Sarika to death. In his delusion where he poisons Sarika to death, he poisons her and she's literally suffocating. And he's like, oh, she's suffocating. And he literally just watches her die. Like, imagine poisoning someone and being like, they like start coughing. They're like, oh my god, they're like choking and coughing, and you're like, they're fine. She vomits blood, and he's like, she's fine. He's like, oh, she's dying, okay. And she dies, and your character's like, I just killed one of my best friends, my childhood friend. We hung out every single day. I just murdered them. Like, okay. Complete sociopath. It has literally doesn't even give a shit of any single person in existence. And then, like, suddenly in this road, he's like, I'd die for Itou for no reason. And I was inside a delusion right now. I could hear voices. Please wake up. Come back to us, Takuru. I could hear Sarika and Karus on the phone. Fuck him. Huh? What's going on? Was that a dream? Like, oh, that's right. This is Uki's room. I fell asleep in Uki's room. I was on the phone. I called Yume Azaki, and then they called me. Taku, can't you hear me? That's right. Sarika's voice was calling me. Huh? Suddenly something flew by me and knocked the phone out of my hands. It fell on the floor, its body split open by something sharp. My mind was still hazy as I forced myself to look up at the person holding the shining blade above me. Standing next to the bed, her face filled with desperation, was... Hey look, it's Uki.
ダメです。それ以上は気づいちゃいけないで
You
す。
can't learn anymore.
この世界こそがあなたの
This is
タ
your
クルさんの
reality,
現実
Taku.
なんです。
Her voice was as sad and desperate as the expression on her face.
どういうこと
You
だ
mean? Uki closed her eyes for a moment.
優しい家族、温かい友達、
A loving family, kind friends,
楽しいこと、
fun
嬉しい
things,
こと、
pleasant things, happy things,
幸せなことだ
and
け
nothing
が
else
ずっ
forever
とずっと
and
繰り
ever.
返し繰り返し、どこまでもどこまでも続いている。これが現実の渋谷。これがタクルさんにとっての現実。
This is
そ
the
れ
real
でいいじゃ
Shibuya.
ないですか。
For you, this is real. What's wrong with that?
違う
I struggled to get up, but my body wouldn't move.
何が違うんですか。
What's wrong with that?
それ
It's... What was wrong with it? If the dream I'd had was right, I wouldn't like what was waiting for me when I woke up. Compared to that, this was paradise. Just like Uki said, here there'd be nothing but fun, pleasant things, and happy things in my life, but... Would that really mean I was alive?
やっぱり
This isn't... I finally managed to get the strength in my arms and stomach to sit
やっ
up.
ぱりここ現
This
実
isn't
なんかじ
real.
ゃない
Is it? Is it fake? Reality is what you make of it. Will you perceive through all five senses? I was trying to tell myself that. No matter how much I didn't want to admit it, no matter how much I didn't want to accept it, no matter how much I wanted to ignore it, if that was the truth. Even if I'd almost died after being stabbed by Uki's D-sword, as long as I was alive...
やめて。お願いですからやめてください。
Stop, please
もう
stop.
それ以上辛い思いを味わわなくてもいいじゃない
I
で
don't
す
have to
か。
suffer anymore.
ウキ
Is it really paradise, Uki? Is it really paradise if the taps don't... If you opening the taps doesn't release a delicious torrent of Mountain Dew? Who would want to drink tap water? Who would want to brush their teeth with disgusting things like tap water and toothpaste when you could have Mountain View and Mountain View flavored toothpaste?
どうしてなんですか。
What?
あなたさえ望めば、ここはどんな幸せな
This
世
world
界
can
に
be
もなるん
anything
で
you
す。
want.
それなのに、どうして
Why are you trying to
そんな
destroy
風
this
にせっ
happiness?
かくの幸せを壊そうとするんですか。
I guess I feel like it's a weird thing to give an illusion, like illusion of happiness to someone whose like favorite thing to do is investigate murders. It's like, okay, so you're claiming this is a paradise, but you put me in a world where there's literally nothing for me to do that is like my main hobby. Because, you know, I love investigating murders and creepy shit, and there's no murders or creepy shit other than, what's this? The fact that the world's a dream world. So the only thing he can possibly do that interests him is escaping it. Like, you set him up to want to leave. He's like, well, there's no interesting murders here, bye. Like, you should be doing, like, I don't think Uki understands him well enough to maintain make a good dream world for him, because his dream world is like interesting murders or weird shit happening all the time that he can investigate. That's like incredibly difficult mysteries. And if you don't give him that, in theory, he should get very bored very quickly, because like what interests him isn't present, right? Isn't present in this world. Like, he's getting lots of cool things, but they aren't like the things he's interested in. Like, he's in the newspaper club because he likes weird shit. He likes investigating weird shit and reporting on the truth of it. He doesn't like investigating on boring, happy stuff, right? That's why he's like all about those murders.
そんなこと言ったって
A dream's just a
夢
dream.
は夢でしかない。いずれは覚めなきゃいけない。
At some point you have to wake up.
覚めない方がいい夢だってあります。
Some dreams it's better not to wake up from. Uki looked like she was about to
私
cry.
はあなたに命に関わるような大きな怪我を負わせ
I
てし
hurt
ま
you
い
so
ました。
badly you might die. Come again? He's hurt. He's not waking up because you're keeping him in a sub-layer of reality, not because he might die from the injury.
もしかしたら二度と今までのような生活はできないかもしれない。
You'll never be able to go back to your old life.
たとえ今現実に戻ったとしても、その先あなたを待っているのは辛くて苦しくて
Even if
嫌
you go
な
back
こ
to
とだら
reality
け
now,
の人生
all
で
that's
すよ。
waiting for you is a life of pain, misery, and horrible things. Well,
そんなの
why are you fighting against me instead of the horrible
生
things?
きてる意味があるんですか？
Let's think about this. There's horrible things in real life. Why don't we destroy the horrible things in real life instead of fighting having two good, ostensibly good people fight each other? You ever think about that, Uki? Is it really being alive? Is there any point being alive like that? Aren't you literally living in this dream world, maintaining it too? The words she said grew in mass and density, creating ripples in my heart. They weighed down heavily upon me, and my mind creaked under the strain. At the same time, heat and pain from when Uki stabbed me came rushing back. The feeling of coughing up blood. The feeling of my life flowing out of me. It's okay, you got stabbed to death before. It's not the end of the world, man. Despair shrouding my heart.
そんなの無理ですよ。
I couldn't bear that. That's why.
私には耐えられないです。だから私はこうして新しい世界を作ったんです。
That's why I made a
タク
new
ルさ
world
んの
for you.
望む
A world with the
幸せな
happiness
世
you
界
want.
を作ったんです。
You have insufficient information to make him a dream world that's
このま
sufficiently
まこの世界
compelling.
にいた方がタクルさんは絶対に
I
幸
know
せ
you'll
で
be
いられ
happier
るん
if
で
you
す。
stay here.
私だって
Maybe? I don't know.
私だってその方が
I'll be happier too. Slowly. Like a slow-acting poison, all my negative emotions came welling forth to hold me back. It was fine to put on a brave face and say that I had to wake up from my dream, but if Uki was right, even if I did go back to the old world, my body would be half dead already. Yui, my little sister. You've been killed by the man I thought my best friend, and now gone. Now she was gone. Well, if you're putting him being your best friend in the past tense, then why did you take a fucking sword to the face for him? If he's not your best friend, you should have just let him fucking die. Then none of this would have happened. Was there anything left for me in the real world? There was nothing but cruelty and coldness. That's not true. There's Arimura. In this world, I wasn't hurt at all. Yui was here too. We clearly don't care. There was even a girl who loved me, who may or may not exist. Was there really any reason I had to go back? Yeah, the person maintaining your dream world is like 6 years old and doesn't understand anything about anything other than stuff 6-year-olds think about. Or I guess she's like 12, but still. Uki's voice was shaking. Tears were running down her pale white cheeks.
私のせいなんです。
And look at what you did, Taku. You made Uki cry. She's doing all this to try and fix the damage that you intentionally made her cause instead of just putting a pause on that irritated... Putting a pause on Itou. Is Itou really so important? My fault. Everything's my fault.
ウキ
私は
Uki started to speak, her head downcast. She told me about herself.
私はまだ小さかった頃、お父さんやお母さんに連れられて
When I was
不思議
little,
な場所に通っていました。
Mom and Dad would take me to this strange place.
そこではたくさんの人たちがお祈りをしたり瞑想をしたりしていました。
There were a lot of people there praying and meditating. I mentioned it was some kind of religious facility. Evidently, her parents had been involved in some kind of cult.
お父さんとお母さんはとても厳しい人で、私がどうしてそこに行かなければいけないのか教えてはくれませんでしたし、
They were very strict
私
people.
もそ
They
れを
wouldn't tell me why I had
お
to go
かし
there.
なことだっ
I
て
never
思
thought it
っ
was
たりは
strange
し
that I
ませ
did.
んでした。ある日、私はあの地下へと連れて行かれました。そしてその後すぐに大きな地震があって、お父さんとお母さんは死んだって言われました。
One day I was taken to the basement, and then right afterwards there was that big earthquake, and they told me mom and dad had died.
両親の他には親戚は誰もいなくて、行くところのなくなってしまった私は、あの地下の部屋で
Well, that's a short story. Thank you for
皆さんの面倒を見るようにな
summarizing
り
it
ました。
instead of giving us it in like 40 minutes of dialogue. I didn't have any relatives beside them, so I had nowhere to go. I stayed down in that basement taking care of the people there.
それも私にとっては
Alright?
当然の成り行きで、どうしてこんなことをしなければいけないのか
To me,
な
this
ん
was
て
all normal. I
疑
never
問に
wondered
思うこと
why I
はあ
had
り
to
ま
do it.
せんでした。
I remembered when I took her out of that basement. She'd been there since she was very little, and it had been everything she had.
いろいろとお世話をしていると、皆さんはありがとうって言ってくれました。
Whenever I helped them, they'd always say thank you.
その言葉を聞くととても嬉しくて、すごく優しい気持ちになれました。
I heard those words. I felt so happy and warm.
この人たちは私を必要と思ってくれてるんだ。私のことを頼ってくれてるん
And
だ。
now they're all gone. I'd tell
そう
them
思
so.
うと
Tell myself
と
they
ても
needed
温
me.
かい気持ち
They're
になり
counting
ま
on
し
me,
た。
and that made me very happy. Alright? For young Uki, being needed was the only way she felt she had any value in the world. I could see that from how hard she worked at Alba Dorm. The desire to be needed was the only thing that kept her going.
私は私の周りにいる人が幸せになってくれることが嬉しいんです。私が幸せになることよりも誰かが幸せになる、その方が私にとってはとても嬉しいことなんです。
It makes me happy when the people around me are happy. I don't know how we got here on this topic for Uki, okay. Instead of making myself happy, I'd rather make the people around me happy. This feels like movie dialogue.
誰かに幸せになってほしい、誰かを幸せにしたい、ありがとうって笑ってもらいたい。
I want someone to be happy. I want to make someone happy. I want them to smile and say thank you.
私は
That's
き
why
っ
I
と
was
その
born.
ために
But
生まれた
instead,
んです。それなのに
her round eyes filled with tears again.
なのに私
But I
はタクルさんにあんなことを。
listen. I don't blame yourself for this. This is like 600% Taku's fault.
私のせいで
Because of me.
タクルさんは
I don't feel bad for him. I feel sorry that Uki has to live with the guilt of hurting this guy because he's so dumb. Alright.
私は
Made you
タ
unhappy,
クルさん
Taku.
を不幸にし
I
てし
can't
まっ
make you
たんで
happy in
す。
the real world anymore.
私にはもう現実の世界で
So
タ
is
ク
he
ルさんを幸
paralyzed
せ
from
に
the
する
waist
ことは
down
でき
then?
ません。でもこの世界なら
In this world,
私
in
は
this world, I
タ
can
クル
make
さ
you
んの
happy.
ことを幸せにすることができます。タ
I
ク
can
ル
make
さ
you
んに
smile.
笑ってもらったり、ありがとうって言ってもらえること
I
が
can make
で
you
き
say
るんです。だから
Oh,
だから
Please stay in this world and help me make you happy.
どうかこの世界でタクルさんが幸せになるお手伝いをさせてください。
僕を幸せに。
You want to make me happy? That's right. It is the romantic route for whatever reason. Yes. Why, I wonder. The meaning of Uki's words slowly sank in. Here I could be happy. Here I could smile.
タクルさん、
Takuru. Yeah. Maybe it would be okay to stay here. As soon as I started to think so, I began to feel incredibly tired again. Everything started to get hazy. I'm sure this is for the best. Nobody wants to suffer, and there's no difference between reality and delusion anyway. It's all just what your brain's showing you. It's better to be happy.
タクルさん、
If I just let myself sleep,
私が守りますから。あなたの幸せをずっと
I'll watch over you. I'll watch over
守
you
っ
and
てい
keep
き
you
ます
happy.
から。
Alright. When I wake up, I'll be happy. Easy trick. Look, it's also easy to escape. She's right here. You know it's the one maintaining the dream world. If she refuses to let you go, stab, stab. Or force choke. He is a telekinetic after all. Force choke works. Everything started to fade away. A tiny hand rubbed my back. It was Uki's hand, gentle and warm. It would keep me safe, so that's that.
そう
Yeah.
か。
Maybe she was right. If Uki would make me happy, that was fine with me. I slowly sank into the abyss of unconsciousness. Uki alter? Oh boy, here we go. What? Suddenly I heard a voice that pulled me back from the abyss. A roar filled the air and a single ray of light flashed. It felt like the void itself was being sliced apart. I struggled to open my eyes and forced my vision into focus. I saw two people there. One was Uki, who was on top of me, and the other...
Uki が
Uki?
2人
Two Ukis? The other Uki was holding a huge, elegant blade, far too big for her little body, and using it to tear open a hole in space. The Uki from the other side of the void swung her sword in a flash. The Uki on top of me leapt back and just barely dodged.
あなた
You. My mind was having trouble comprehending the fact that I was seeing two Ukis. Seriously, dude? This guy's gotta be like the slowest person. This guy's gotta be one of like the slower people on the planet. Where like, okay, there's two people. We know we're in a dream. There can be two people. This isn't like difficult to wrap our mind around. This is like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's a dream.
何なんだよ
What,
これ
what the hell? What was happening? What was going on? Was this part of the dream? Or was it real? I was too tired to try and understand. Why were there two Ukis? The other Uki lifted her blade and readied it. Uki raised her hand out into the emptiness and plunged it into a crack between dimensions. The quanta formed in the dead spot in my brain. With a dazzling light, the long flowing blade, the D sword, appeared in her hand. Alright, we got double sprite time. Look at that. Alright, which one's which? You tell me. The two of them stared at each other for a moment. They both moved at almost the exact same time. A blade was brought down in a flash like a hawk descending on its prey. The other Uki raised her own weapon to block it. I like this drawing. They did a good job with this. It looks pretty good, right? Even if they're sort of drawing the same person, doing the exact same pose from two different angles, it still looks pretty good. The swords match the environment a little bit better. They're less gamey, although they still are a little bit heavily detailed. Yeah, they look good. They look good. Alright. Other Uki raises her own weapon to block it. And then the other Uki launched her counterattack. The sword scorched the air as it danced faster than the wind. But her powerful strike was deflected by a strange movement where she held the blade diagonally. Wind, sound, impact. The two switched rapidly between attacker and defender. The two switched rapidly between one place and another. The two switched rapidly in my mind. I couldn't tell which was which anymore. Takuru, don't let her trick you! One of the Ukis seemed to be losing, slightly. She yelled in a loud voice that didn't sound like Uki at all.
騙されるどういうことだよそれ
Trick me? What do you mean?
彼女が今目の前にいるこの私がさっき話したことは全部嘘なんです。だから騙されないでください。
What the me that's in front of you just said is a lie. Please don't let her trick you.
余計なこと言わないで。
Don't tell him that. A lie? What she just said, I could live happily in my dreams? It was all a lie?
よく聞いてください。もしもこのまま彼女の言いなりになったとしても、あなたに幸せはありません。
On an unrelated note, the way these swords are built, you could probably trap your opponent's sword between your weird oversized crossguard and the blade and try to leverage it to break either the edge off or like your own or at least force their weapon out of the way to stall instead of swinging your sword around. Although, given that these weigh nothing, it might be easier just to swing left and right all the time. I don't know. Maybe? I won't be happy? Surely you know your own happiness, my friend.
そうです。
That's
こ
right.
のままではあなたは妄想の中に溶けてゆくだけ。そのまま二度と戻ってこれなくなってしまうだけです。
You'll just melt away into the delusion and never be able to come back. Anyone could have predicted that. It's the standard dream offer.
それ以上は
Don't say another word. You didn't say it's wrong either. Pale fireworks flashed violently in front of me, and rainbow streaks of light burned into my eyes. I tried as hard as I could to think about what the other Uki, the one that just appeared, was telling me.
タクルさん、この子の言ってることは嘘です。夢の中ならあなたは幸せになれるんです。
Takuru, she's lying to you. You can be happy in your dreams.
違います。そんなの大嘘です。
She's lying. Why do they both claim to know what you want? Fuck off and let him decide. Which was the real her? Who should I believe?
タクルさん、もう一度よく思い出してください。あの時
Remember.
何が起きたのかを。
Remember what happened then? Then?
あの日何が起きたのかをもう一度。
Remember what happened that day? Alright.
それ以上は
Don't say another word. What happened that day, it was... That day. What happened?
よく自分の心に問いかけてみてください。考えて結論にたどり着いてください。
Ask yourself, think,
もうそ
find the answer. Whose
本当は
delusion is this,
誰のも
really?
のなのかを。
Is he in his own delusion, created by his own death, but created in the moments before his own potential demise? I could sense a door that was half open in the back of my mind. The vision of the past I'd seen started to slowly open that door once more.
ダメです。やめてください。
Don't
思い出しては
remember.
ダメ。
Well, too late.
思い出して本当の出来事を。そしてこの妄想が本当は誰のものかを。
Remember what really happened and who this delusion really belongs to. What really happened. On that day, tiny little boxes in the shape of a person, dark red liquid flowing out of them, an overwhelming metallic scent. Inside the boxes was... We've been here
自分の
before.
大切なものを失う気分は自分の無力さを思い知りながら後悔に苛まれる気分は
Tell me, how's it feel to lose someone you care about? How's it feel to have nothing but regrets and to know how powerless you are? I remember this part. This is what happened
彼女
that
は
day.
俺にとってかけがえのない存在だった。それをお前は見殺しにしたんだ。でもこれでようやく復讐も終わる。
She was everything to me, and you let her die, but now my revenge can be complete. Itou, you...
お前次は宮代の番だ。
And now it's your turn, Miyashiro.
よく切れるメス
Did you bring the knife and anesthetic? I've been so angry about Yui's death.
それがなきゃひどく痛くて。
If not, it's gonna hurt real bad. Just like it did for Yui.
人なんだ。
What?
泣いて命
Are you
乞
gonna
いでも
cry
す
and
る
beg me not to kill you? Get on your knees
か
and
助けて
weep.
くお前
Really?
本当に
Yeah.
タクルさん。
Oh, Takuru. And then Uki
よ
came.
かった見つかった。ゆいちゃん
Because
は
I found you. Listen, Yui is. And then she saw what happened to Yui. Sorry, Yuki. And then... Yep, she yelled, she screamed. And she attacked almost immediately.
なんだよ
What? She real booted the D sword? Well, at least our recollection is getting more accurate.
なんだ
Oh, what the hell? Wait, she missed? Again?
なんだよこい
What's
つ
gotten into her? I remember the D sword flailing wildly. Itou running and screaming. I don't get it. Itou's not supposed to be able to see the sword, so she should just look like someone who's gonna miss him with her punches.
待てウキ
Wait,
伊藤に
Uki
はま
is
だ
still... Itou is still... I got it in between them, and then... I reached out my hand.
やめろウキ
Stop it, Uki. Seriously. And in my hand was my D sword. That's right.
あの時僕は本能に突き動かされるまま
I just acted on instinct. Grabbed the sword in the corner of my
現
eye.
れたディスそして
And then I-
その手を 僕を
I
刺されたのは
I was the one who was stabbed. Are you fucking serious? He killed. Man, I was saying this man is like gay for Itou over the fact that he took the sword for him. He straight up murdered someone for Itou who just killed his sister without even thinking about it. Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Okay, let's not even pretend for a second this guy's not stupidly fucking gay. Holy shit. I don't mean that like in an insulting way. I mean like he is actually a homosexual who literally murdered someone to protect the guy who hacked his sister to pieces. Okay. Okay. Like he is completely unwilling. Remember. I mean this is like Sarika literally stabbed Nono to death in front of him in real life, and his reaction was just like, oh, okay. Like, he was just like, yeah, okay. Like, he just kind of accepted that he was watching his sister be stabbed to death by one of his other best friends, and he's like, yeah, okay. But, and like, he's accepted that when in his own dream, when Sarika is poisoned before any of this murdering shit happens, he's like perfectly okay with her dying, but like just the thought of Itou dying is like enough to make him instantly murder someone. And this is like a character who literally can't act to save his life. And by like we've complained so many times about him being incredibly inactive when his own life is on the line, when others' lives are on the line, when literally anything happens, he kind of just stands there and it takes like 10 minutes plus several people doing things to him for him to like decide to do anything in response. So like the fact that he's able to instantly leap into action and save Itou means the only person he cares about, like okay, maybe not the only person he cares about, but the person he cares about the most by like a massive order of magnitude is Itou. Everyone else he doesn't give a shit about. Like, if you're unwilling to even, like, attempt to stop someone from killing one of your friends, you know, that's one thing. But I would have, like, okay, he doesn't care to stop them from killing his friends. He doesn't care to try to get them emergency service when they're dying. But, like, for Itou, he can literally kill someone, and he'll just be like, yeah, I'm gonna kill anyone who goes after you. Like, okay. You clearly like this guy way more than anyone else. Way more than anyone else. Holy shit. Alright. Takuru.
僕が
It was Uki, yep. The horrible sensation of ripping through blood vessels and muscle fiber. Her body crumpling forward. The sound of her coughing up blood. The thud when she bounced off the pavement. Uki's body turning red. It all came back to me. I hope I should have picked a bad ending so he could die. He's actually like a terrible person for this too. Alright. As the truth of the past came back to me, the Uki from this reality screamed and collapsed on the cold floor. She started to spasm and vomit up blood. What are you complaining about? You don't even give a shit about her. Don't pretend. You like hacked her. You like cut her in half in real life, dude. Her limbs flailed out in impossible directions and flows. Froze. It was a slow death, but a certain one. Yeah, my mouth went wide open in shock to try to understand what was happening here to her. I don't believe you care about her at all. You on reflex murdered her. She reached out her hand into the air, fingers curled as if she wanted to grab something. He is unwilling to attack or anyone or even defend himself without an enormous amount of prompting. Ordinarily, and he murdered her on reflex. You can't possibly care about her that much. And then her arm fell. She stopped moving at all. Uki, okay. I have a heart. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip that dialogue. I remembered. Oh, well, I remembered, even if I wished I hadn't. Sorry you killed someone. What I'd just seen was the hidden truth. Because I'd remembered that the Uki from this reality had died. All the exhaustion and my desire for sleep that had been eating away at my body was gone. I suddenly felt something strange and looked at my hands. In my right hand was a long, sharp sword. The shining blade was covered in sticky blood. I did it again. You remember, didn't you? The other Uki whispered softly. Her eyes were filled with sorrow as she stared at her own twisted body lying on the floor. This wasn't the world you created? This was the world Uki Yamazoe created, a world of delusions inside me. It was Uki's. What about you? Where's the real you right now? The real me is sleeping in a bed next to you. Next to me? And this is my final dream before my life fades away. Your dream? Yep. I real-booted the dream world inside me and trapped you here. Okay. So this world's Uki's dream. Okay, for a second there, I was like, thinking if they were gonna somehow try and sell me on him creating this delusion so that he wouldn't have to live with the fact that he killed her, despite the fact that he, like, murdered her on reflex to protect Itou, which is, like, massively out of character for him to even do anything useful on reflex. So I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would have been super irritating. But hey, this is fine, you know. She's like dying, and she's like, "Oh, it's my final dream. I'll try to live in this dream world for as long as I can before I perish." That seems fine. You know, I'm actually okay with her doing that. That's cool. And this girl. Uki's voice sounded a little sadder. She's who I would be if I got everything I ever wanted. Uki knelt down and silently closed her other self's eyes. And then she stood up and walked over to the desk. She opened the drawer, took out a tiny envelope. It was pink, like a little girl would choose. You remember this? It wasn't something from so long ago that I would forget it, and it left an incredible impression on me, so I remembered it very well. It was the envelope that Yume Aozaki had used to send her love letter. I'm sorry for lying to you. Yep, I think everyone called that right. It was Uki who sent the love letter. Uki looked a little embarrassed.
あの手紙を書いたのも、そしてあなたの理想の女の子の姿であのお店で待っていたのもこの子。
The one who wrote that letter, the one who appeared to you in that cafe in the form of your ideal girl was her.
いえ、私だったんです。
It was me. Uki was Yume Aozaki? Yup. But why?
憧れていたんですね。きっと自分でも気づいていなかったけど。
I think I always wanted this, even if I never realized it.
だからせめて夢の中でもって。
But at least I thought I could have it in my dreams. It was a world any girl might see once in her dreams. But for Yuki, maybe that was what she'd always wanted. For a girl who'd grown up in that dark basement who'd never gotten a chance to go to school.
そうか。
So that's it. Yume Aozaki. Something clicked in my mind. They're gonna anagram it, right? Rearrange the letters and it becomes Yamazoe Uki. The answer had been there all along.
ありがとうございました、タクルさん。
Thank you, Takuru. I'll be honest, I don't look at every single person I meet's name and try to anagram it into another person's name I know, so seems reasonable not to immediately see that. Her eyes were still downcast as she spoke.
私は夢の中でほんの少しでも憧れの日々を送ることができました。
In my dreams, I was able to live the life I always wanted, even if it was just for a short time. I felt like I knew what Uki was trying to say.
でもこれでもう夢は終わりです。
Now the dream is over.
ウキ。
もうすぐ現実の私は死んでしまうでしょう。
The real me is about to die. But that's...
でもその前にタクルさんはタクルさんのいるべき世界に戻ってください。
Before that happens, I want you to go back to the world where you belong. Damn, man, you don't deserve Uki. Uki may or may not have accidentally dragged you into this world and wants to return you. And you murder her on reflex despite being completely unwilling to do that for murder anyone else, or even act in any sort of danger when your own life is in any sort of danger. Damn.
あ
Too
の
bad.
人が久野里さんが言っていました。私が死ねばこの妄想の渋谷はディラックの海に飲み込まれてしまうって。
That woman, Kunosato, she said if I die, this copy of Shibuya will be swallowed by the Direct Sea.
だからタクルさんはその前に早く。
So before that happens, you need to...
ウキは
What about you? What will you
君は
do?
どうするつもりなんだ。
Die, obviously.
もう時間はありません。
No time.
答えになってない。お前はどうするんだよ。
Not an answer, what will you do?
私は
She tried to continue. Before she could get out the words, strength left her body and she was forced to the ground.
何
I quickly ran over to help and grabbed her by the arm and tried to help her up.
何やってんだよ。
What are you doing?
タクルさん。
Okay.
お前も一緒だろ。一緒に戻るんだよ。
You're coming too. You have to come with it. Yeah, okay. Well, use your fucking magic and force her to live, because you're like literally omnipotent, so why not do that? You're omnipotent, you can do this. Alright, no matter how far away happiness seemed. Thankfully he doesn't know he's omnipotent, so we can't say, wow, what a dumbass, not using his infinite powers to save one person.
ほら、立てよ。
Come
立
on,
って
stand
一緒
up,
に
stand
来
up.
いよ。
Why do you care? Come on, man. You don't give a shit. I'd take her with me. No, you wouldn't. You'd stab her to death and leave her here.
タクルさん。
You're just convincing yourself because you want to appear like a heroic person for 5 seconds. The reality is, you don't actually care. And then Uki smiled a
で
little.
もダメです。
But you can't. She quietly brushed my hand away. Remember, he didn't, like, try to parry her sword or block her sword. He instantly summoned his sword and cut her in half or whatever. Like, if it had been like, ha, I'll stop you, and cling, clang, cling, she loses, I would have actually been like, maybe he has a... I would still been like, wow, this guy's a huge sim for Itou, but at least he didn't instantly try to kill her, you know. You know, kind of like, no, that's a bad example. I was gonna use Obi-Wan, but I'm like not 100% certain what Obi-Wan would have done if Anakin stopped after like one swing. I'm pretty sure he might have still killed him, so he might have tried. He probably used words. Actually, I think Obi-Wan's smart enough to try to use words and swing him back around. I think he would have. I think after one swing, he might have stopped. If he'd stopped after one swing, he might have turned around. Anyway, point is, our Takuru here just like went for the kill immediately. Didn't even try to stop her from being violent. Just was like, okay, I'll kill you, bye. Like, you probably don't value this person too much. If you value someone, you'd probably try to not kill them. Alright.
私はもう
You brushed my hand
ここ
away.
に来るだけで
It was all I could do to come.
限界だったんです。
But that's
何を
fine.
言って
I suppose a decently written character is capable of lying to themselves about who they are. That's fine. Not kind of fine, that's fine. What are you saying? You pointed to the D sword in my hand with a shaking finger.
久野里さんが言っていました。ディソードは妄想と現実とをつなぐ橋のようなものなんだって。
Kunosada said a D sword is like a bridge connecting delusion and reality.
そんなことは
It doesn't...
だからそれをしっかりと伝っていけばきっと現実に戻れます。
So if you follow it, you end up back in the real world. Interesting.
お前がいれば現実に戻れるんだろ。だったらお前も一緒に。
I can go back to the real world with you, right? Come with me. Yuki was sitting on the floor, reaching out a shaking hand. She was reaching for a broken pot. It had shattered during the fight, and the Schlefera was... Schefflera was lying on the floor, looking sad. Somehow it seemed like it was just like Uki herself. Takuru. Stop lying to yourself, Takuru.
ありがとうござ
Thankfully,
いまし
Uki's
た。
not being rude to him. Uki's not being rude to him, but I feel like if I was in his position, I would have been like, shut the fuck up, Takuru.
そんなの
Stop lying to me. Like, if I got stabbed by this guy, I'd have been like, are you fucking serious? Stop lying to me. You literally just instantly tried to kill me. The second I was, like, trying to stop someone from fucking murdering you. Are you fucking serious? Your response to someone being like, I'm gonna slice you to ribbons is like, I'll protect you with my life. And not even try to protect you. Just try to murder anyone who, like, tries to stop you from being a serial killer. Alright. From slicing like 20 people open, like who knows how many people you'd kill here while you're under this mind control influence. Anyway, but before I could say another word, Uki
嬉しかった。
made me happy. Uki collapsed to the floor, and then the world started to fall apart. The ground and sky started to roar and shake, and everything was pulled back into a pre-quantum state of possibility. Everything dissolved into ones and zeros and fell apart. The end of the world was inescapable and it was almost upon me.
ウキ
Uki. I desperately tried to grab her tiny body, but her outlines started to blur. The matter that made her body was dissolving like sand blown away by the wind. It was turning back into ones and zeros and disappearing like it had never been there.
ウキ
I stabbed the D sword into the floor and clung to it to help myself stay standing. And soon the destruction came for me as well. It felt like my body was being ripped apart. A wave of annihilation enveloped me. And all my senses blacked out. Everywhere I looked, there was nothing. 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 The void. Or perhaps, was this the DRX where all things would someday return? I was wandering in an endless void. Okay. Particles of light were flowing upward all around me. Even in this form, I could tell exactly what they were. This was Uki. No, that's not quite right. It was the memories that made her up. The memories poured into my brain like a rushing torrent, a young Uki. Her parents had brought her to a strange building. She was sitting there confused as the adults around her bowed their heads low to the floor. A gloomy room filled with cement and metal. Dozens of horrible devices, experiments. Even then, she was smiling when she was with her friends, young Yui and others too. Then the earthquake and the destruction. A sealed room. Screaming adults. Fear of reality, longing. Two colliding desires. We want you to stay pure, innocent, and untainted, and take care of us forever. She subconsciously rebooted that desire. And that's what happened to her body. Still, she accepted everything. Even her own fate. Uki. I feel worse for Uki than Takuru does. I feel like he's just lying to himself. The world turned pure white and began to be rebuilt again. I clutched the D-sword tightly with my fingers, just like Uki had told me. Come on, Kuru. I just heard. So does it end here, or does it end when the serial killings end? Or do we like have to actually go solve the New Generation Madness murders now? What? These voices. Takuru! Takuru! They were calling out for me over and over. Takuru! Takuru! What? Takuru! You guys are so loud. It's true, they are quite loud. Takuru! They are quite loud. Takuru. We said Takuru like 10 times. Dad, Takuru's opened his eyes. I see only way. He did? I'll be right there. The world began to regain its color. Takuru? You know me? Do you know who I am? Of course I do, Kurus. He even calls you Kurus. Kurusu. Taku, what about me? What about me? What about me? Who are you again? Just kidding, I know. Taku. That hurts. That hurts.
こら、意識が戻ったからって飛びつくやつがあるか。
Come on, what kind of idiot jumps on someone right after they get out of a coma? That kind of idiot, I guess? But Dad ran through the curtain separating the beds and pulled Sarika off of me, then peered down at my face.
意識もはっきりとしているな。
Fully conscious, I see. As he started to give me an exam, I looked down at my hand. It was still in the shape it had been when it was holding the D-sword. Glad you woke up. Yeah. That's right. Do you know how worried we were?
こいつら、ずっとお前があっち行っちまわないよ。
These two kept calling your name so we wouldn't lose you. It was quite annoying, to be honest. Yeah, thanks. I heard your voices. Yeah, they were sometimes overwrote everything. That's nothing. Anything for you, Taku. That's right. I don't want to lose any more of my family. Bruce's voice suddenly cut off. Any more? Was she talking about Yui? And one more person?
Uki.
Where's Uki? I sat up and asked. She said she was sleeping next to me. Listen to me, Takuru. Uki is... Cold sweat appeared on my body when I heard those words. It couldn't be. Maybe she was already... I looked around. And there she was. Uki. I could see her resting quietly on the other side of the curtain that separated our beds. Her eyes were shut and there were tubes attached all over her body. I could hear a monitoring device near her beeping at regular intervals. She was alive, but then, why had Kurus and Sarika acted that way? What did that... Yeah, she's brain dead, right? Oh no, you don't have to tell him now. It's okay, Onoe. I kept my eyes on Uki as I spoke. Just tell me, where is Uki? I'd been ready for it, but when I saw it for real, I still didn't want to believe it. Good job, buddy. But I had to face it anyway. This wasn't the dream world anymore, and she was the one who told me to come back.
ウキちゃんね。一命は取り留めはしたけれど、脳に受けたダメージが大きいって久野里さんが。
Uki survived, but Kunosato said her brain was badly
はっ
damaged.
きり言ってくれクルス
Why are you asking this? You already know this. You know this. Tell me straight, Karus. Is Uki gonna get better? No.
残念だけど、
I'm sorry, but at this rate...
このまま。
She slowly shook her head. Instantly my heart felt like it was gonna freeze. I'm sorry, but I tried to understand the meaning of those words. Uki would never wake up again. So, in conclusion, in the Uki route, you'd never talk again. You'd never smile again. Never. Good job, Takuru. I forced my aching body out of bed.
大丈夫
I'm fine. Rika and Karus rushed to support me, but I waved them away. Like a sleepwalker, I staggered over to Uki's unconscious body. Good job, man. I'm gonna be honest. Didn't think the first time he actually killed someone would be a team kill on someone who's trying to keep him alive because he's obsessed with his boyfriend. That's a little bit irritating. Maybe if he at least came out of his if he got through the denial stage and skipped to the acceptance part where he's like, oh, I like Itou more than a friend, it would be a little bit more interesting. Wouldn't that be a twist? We get to like the third route of a story, and it turns out the protagonist is gay all along. I mean, we already know that, but still, we already know that here. But I mean, like, it suddenly becomes like a yaoi, and you're like, oh, or at least like a romance. Her breathing's irregular but steady. The machine was beeping. I couldn't see a single scratch on her face. She looked as if she could open her big round eyes and laugh any second, but suddenly I was assaulted by a wave of emotion. I softly touched her cheek. Please stop pretending. Her silent body was warm and all I did was cry. For a girl who said that other people's happiness was what made her happy. For a girl who risked her life to save me. That's right, she risked her life to save you, and in return you cut her down. Good job, man. Thank you, Takuru. I'm like not buying his emotions. They feel very faked. In my dreams, I was able to live the life I always wanted, even if it was for just a short time. For the girl who smiled as she said those words. Was there anything I could have done for her? Not kill her? Could I have given her happiness? I mean, step 1, don't murder people. Especially when you know they're trying to protect you. Thank you for this. It made me happy. Sometimes I don't understand some of the... I don't understand some Japanese stories. His emotions feel entirely fake. Not just Japanese stories, but in this case, it's a Japanese story, so I'll specify. I don't understand this particular plot. And the days passed. Many springs, many summers. Like, does he not? He clearly made a value judgment that killing Uki was... He clearly made a value judgment that murdering Uki to protect Itou was the right call. And he very clearly went for the murder instead of stop her from murdering anybody decision. So, like, at that point, you've already, like, decided they need to die, so, like, you can be like, oh, well, that was... You can feel, like, the pity party of, like, oh my god, I can't believe I killed someone. Or, like, you can have, like, the shock of realizing, like, you terminated a conscious living being. And you can be, like, guilty that you can feel, like, the guilt from, like, disappointing your friends, because, like, you know, you're hurting, you know, I mean, Yui's fucking dead, but, from, like, hurting Nono, and, because she's sensitive enough to not want people to fucking die, So she'd be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you killed someone." Like, you can be guilty about that. But your focus should be on like, oh, that was the right choice because it was Itou, right? It's kind of weird. Our character seems to be like, from my perspective, the way I would perceive this, our character Takuru is like faking his emotions. So when I read his internal monologue as actually caring, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's like, if I decided to stab one of my friends to death, I probably wouldn't be like, oh my goodness, well, I killed them. I'd be like, why did I do that? Oh, right, I was doing this. Okay, that's my justification in the moment. Maybe it was a bad idea, but like, clearly it was like the way I thought. And our character was completely sober, so he doesn't really have like alcohol to cloud his judgment. He's like clearly decided that Itou was so important that anyone who could threaten him needed to die immediately. And many autumns to come, yeah. So, years come and go.
それじゃあ行ってきます。
Alright, I'll be off.
いってらっしゃい。気を
Bye,
つけて
take
ね。
care, okay. It's
今日
time
も
back.
いい天気だな。
The weather's nice again today. Okay.
行こうか、ウキ。
Let's go, Uki.
あっちは人が多いから、こっちを回ろう。
There's a lot of people over there, so we'll go this way. Says she's a vegetable.
それとも、向こ
Would
う
you
の方
rather
が
we
いい
went over
か。
there?
わかった。
Got it. We'll
そ
go
れ
over
じゃあ
there.
向こうから行こう。
So she's a vegetable, and they're gonna keep her on life support. Shortly after, Uki's body had recovered to the point where we could take her off life support. But it was only her body that recovered. She's brain dead, man. She didn't talk or laugh. She just stared into space like a doll. Her mind had gone someplace far away and still hadn't come back. Kunosada said it probably never would, and she was probably right. My one wish was that wherever she was, she'd found the world she'd always wanted. All I could do was pray and spend each day with her. It was the only way I could atone.
あ、タク。
Oh, Taku. Sarika looks exactly the same. I turned around just in time to see Sarika run up to us.
よう。
今日もお散歩？
Going for another walk?
まあな。
Yeah.
そっか。いい天気だもんね。
The weather's nice. Sarika smiled at Uki and then looked up at the bright sky. If it ends in like the next 3 scenes, I'm gonna say it probably should have ended when our character woke up in the real world. Like the second he woke up, it's like,
最近あんまり
oh, he's
一緒にい
awake,
られな
he's
くて。
awake, the end. Sorry, I haven't been able to hang out much lately.
私のことは気にしなくていいよ。
I don't mind.
私はタクがそれでよければいいんだし。
As long as you're okay with things. Sarika looked at me.
タクはいいんでしょ？そ
You're
れ
okay
で。
with things, right? Of course, the best thing would be for Uki to get better, but that was too much to hope for now. I'd do what I could for her.
まあ、
Yeah,
Ah.
I guess. This was the path I'd chosen.
だったらよし。
Okay, good enough for me then. Sarika smiled, satisfied at my answer.
じゃあ私は行くね。ウキちゃんもまたね。チャオス。
Alright, I'll be going. See you later, Uki. Ciao. She said a word she'd probably picked up from someone else and left. I watched her go and we started to walk again. We took each step slowly and carefully.
そうそう。それ
Right,
でさ、
right.
ユ
So
ウト
then
が
Yuto,
そしたら父さん
and
が
then
さ、
Dad. Oh, yeah? Yeah? No matter what I said, there was never an answer. But I kept talking and waiting for the day she would someday come back. Okay.
Oh.
Oh. I stopped in front of a small store. I'd spotted a planter. I'd seen a certain plant lined up in front of the others at the florist. A Schefflera. It was the plant I'd given to Uki as a present for her room.
嬉しかった。
Made me happy. Well, I thought I heard her voice and quickly turned to look at her, but I'd just imagined it.
そうだよな。
Yeah, that's not. And then,
ウキ、
Uki. Eyes like glass beads quivered for a moment. and a single tear ran down her cheek.
ウキ
She didn't speak. Her expression didn't change, but still she was there. And someday...
ああウキ
Hey, Uki. The world was constantly growing, expanding, and evolving. Even if it left the two of us behind, I'd spend my days with her, and believe that someday she would come back to us. Until then,
僕が君の世話をして生きていくよいつかやってくる君の幸せのために
I'll spend my life taking care of you so that someday you can be happy. Okay. I didn't know if that day would ever come, but until then I'd keep believing always. Alright. Yeah, that should have ended the minute he woke up. Okay. Well, that started out interesting. And the middle was actually quite interesting. I feel like the ending fell flat. Alright, we've seen the credits before.
タク
Hey, Takuru.
叶えられたやりたいこと
Did you get to do what you want to do? I think it was alright. So that definitely wasn't my favorite ending. That is like sort of an okay ending, I guess. So, what did you guys think of the ending? Let me know what you think in the comments down below and tell me what you'd like to see more of. Until then, I'll see you guys next time.